If we can now move on to the next continued petition, which is petition 1723, Essential Tremor Treatment in Scotland, lodged by Mary Ramsey. And I should indicate that Rhoda Grant MSP is expected to attend for this petition. The petition is calling on the Scottish Government to raise awareness of essential tremor and to support the introduction and use of a Focused Ultrasound scanner for treating people in Scotland who have this condition. Since our last consideration, we have received submissions from the Scottish Government and the petitioner. We've also received a late submission from James Bland of Insight Tech, which was sent to us separately. The Scottish Government submission advises it is unable to indicate a timetable for the possible establishment of a Focused Ultrasound scanner as a routine service at this time, as they will still await further research and evidence into its effectiveness. And I wonder if it would be useful to us as a committee to ask Rhoda Grant to welcome her to the Public Petitions Committee today. And she's a friend of the committee and has been here in the past, but this is the first time she's been here virtually. So welcome, and perhaps you might want to just raise your issues that you'd want the committee to hear before we consider how we might respond to this petition at this stage. Rhoda Grant.
Thank you, Convener, and thank you for allowing me to come and speak to this petition again on behalf of Mary Ramsey, all know, and also representing the other people behind her petition, because there's a lot of people who support this petition. And there's a sense of frustration that magnetic resonance guided focused ultrasound technology, and I'm not going to say that again, is not available in Scotland, but it is in England and in other places throughout the world. Add to this the fundraising campaign to make the equipment available to the whole of Scotland, and you can see why the campaigners with essential tremor and their families are anxious that the committee and the Scottish Government really recognise the benefits of the therapy, but also that it can save a huge amount of money to the NHS. The committee meeting in January reported that the National Services Committee would welcome a reapplication with new evidence, and Insight Tech's submission to the committee that the convener just mentioned. The supporting documents provide that evidence. And that evidence was given to NHS England when they reviewed the clinical commissioning policy for England, and they now propose to treat 150 people with essential tremor a year, people that aren't suitable for deep brain stimulation, which is what Mary Ramsey herself had. Deep brain stimulation is already commissioned in Scotland for essential tremor. NHS England's clinical commissioning policy says that there's good evidence that the focused ultrasound technology is effective, and certainly no less safe than deep brain stimulation. And it costs just under £12,990 a patient, and that's about half the cost of deep brain stimulation. So there's a big saving to be made as well. The Scottish Government's aware that the clinicians are currently looking at purchasing the equipment, and there are discussions ongoing with Scottish National Services Division about the development of the service, which I think would be really great to have in Scotland, because patients here could receive state-of-the-art, minimally invasive neurosurgery for one of the commonest causes of essential tremor. And not only that, but it could also make Scotland a world leader in this field. Campaigners have asked me to ask the committee, they would really want the opportunity to show the committee members a short video of a patient's experience when undergoing the treatment. And Professor Nandy, who was the neurosurgeon that treated the patient in the video, is a leading medical expert in the field, and he's prepared as well to provide oral evidence to the committee if the committee feel that that would be helpful to them when looking at how to progress the petition, Mary Ramsey's petition. Mary Ramsey asked me to make a plea, as she always does, to the committee and to keep pushing for the technology to be available here. And she said, just if I would quote her, and she says, for me and for my part, if focused ultrasound helps anyone avoid what I went through, I will fight to my last breath to get it. And that's kind of a measure of the petitioner, to be honest. This isn't going to benefit her. I think I've said that previously to the committee, but she won't let up. She is making sure, and she is going to try and make sure that nobody has to go through what she went through. And, this treatment could change the lives of many people. So I would urge you to keep it open, urge you to consider looking at the video and getting some evidence from Professor Nandy, and hopefully we can get this treatment available to people in Scotland.
Okay, thank you very much, Rhoda, for that. What I'll do is I'll ask committee members to come in, and then maybe at the end I'll afford you the opportunity to make any final comments. Gail Ross.
Thank you, Convener. Yeah, as always, very strong testimony there from Mary Ramsey, and I would like to thank Rhoda Grant for coming along on her behalf. I think that we are duty bound to hear her plea. I certainly wouldn't want to close this petition just now. I do believe that there is a disconnect between what's happening here and how they are pursuing it in England. I also think that the Scottish Government, the action plan on neurological conditions is fantastic. It's, it attends to a lot of different conditions, but there are some that are not specifically mentioned in the plan. And in the vision, it says that everyone with a neurological condition should have access to the care and support they need to live well on their own terms. And certainly that's not what's happening here with Mary Ramsey and others with essential tremor. And I'm really grateful for the offer of Professor Nandy coming in and giving us evidence. I absolutely think that we should accept that offer. I think it's really important that we keep this going, and so I would like to take evidence from Professor Nandy, and if there's anyone else that we see fit to take evidence from. And I would also like to see the video that Rhoda Grant has suggested as well. And I would like to thank her and Mary Ramsey again for some quite emotional dialogue, but very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Mason.
Thank you, Convener. First, I have to register an interest in this. I suffer from Parkinson's disease, which is allied to essential tremor. In fact, they thought I had essential tremor first before they decided it was Parkinson's. In the UK, there's something like 1 million sufferers from essential tremor. Not a minority sport in some ways, and it's something that the medical profession should be investigating up to the limits it can. And if there are treatments available, they really need to be included in the medical diaspora to treat the patients where it can be done. People suffer a great deal in science with various neurological diseases, and essential tremor is one of these which the people just get tormented by. And unless we do everything we can to make sure the resources are put in the right direction for this, and when treatment is available, should be included in the available range. So I certainly would like to see further evidence if we need it, and keep this open until we get conclusions to some progress in the treatment of essential tremor. Thank you.
Thank you. David Torrance.
Thank you, Convener. This petition has been going a long time. I've great sympathy for her, for anybody who suffers in this way. And there's different types of medical services out there across the rest of the UK. I wonder if we could write to NICE to see when the recommendations will come forward, Convener. I'd definitely like to keep the petition open like all of our members. I don't generally think there's anything else to add to that.
Okay, thank you. Maurice Corrie?
Thank you, Convener. Yes, I think this is a very important issue, and I'm for all the contributions so far, and Tom, particularly Tom Mason's contribution here, and also to Rhoda Grant, and thank you, Rhoda, for that, and obviously the moving petition by Mary Ramsey. I certainly think we should keep this open, most definitely. I don't think we're anywhere long way down the road on this yet at all. Medical breakthroughs are happening all the time, and I agree with David Torrance there about seeing where we are with NICE on that and where they are in England on it. And I also would like to have the opportunity to call Professor Nandy before us with his neurosurgical expertise as to where we are on this whole process, and obviously get the Scottish Government to look at speeding up the purchase of this equipment if this is going to help people with this condition. So anything to do to help and give people a quality of life is extremely important. And the purpose of this committee, obviously, is to hear such moving petitions as we have here today. So I recommend we keep it open, pursue the avenues I've mentioned and what other members of this committee have said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think we do have a consensus that there remains an issue here. I think we have heard powerful testimony from the petitioner, and this whole question about it being, I mean, at a very basic level, it is less intrusive and less expensive process, and it seems to have been something that is regarded as safe elsewhere. I hear what people say around hearing from Professor Nandy and seeing the video. Can we ask the clerks to look at how best that can be done? It may be that we want to bring Professor Nandy in front of us, but I'm very conscious of the very busy timetable we have in the next period, because obviously we're coming towards the closure of the Parliament. So if we're not able to hear that evidence in person, whether we can find some other means by which we can get access to that. But I think the committee would prefer to hear from Professor Nandy personally, but we would maybe look at that. But I think people are minded to keep it open. I wonder if Rhoda Grant wants to say anything in conclusion.
Just to say that I really appreciate the committee's support and their knowledge about this and the difference it can make to people's lives if we get it. And I appreciate them keeping the petition open, because I think there's a way to go until we can be sure that this treatment's available in Scotland, and that's, I think, what we all want. So thank you.
Okay, in that case, we are agreeing to keep the petition open, to explore ways of hearing that further evidence and raising with Scottish Government and other relevant bodies where we are in relation to this treatment. Is that agreed? Does anybody disagree? No, with that, can I thank Rhoda Grant very much for her attendance. And if we can then move on to the next continued petition for consideration today, which is petition 17